Absolutely. My allergies are fucking killing me today.
Speaking of killing you,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, the
Is it
summer
time for the
Hikaru
summer?
died.
Yeah, buddy. Greg, spoiler free, how are you feeling about the summer Hikaru croaked?
I'm going to preliminarily say that this might get a 10.
Really?
That's how much I'm enjoying the story of Hikaru and how they're developing everything. Like, by my own criteria, how the show is conducting itself is hitting everything that I would want in a show with how they're telling the story. If it doesn't get a 10, it's probably getting like a 9.9 or something like that, or like a
I could see
9.5.
that. I think that this show is incredibly well done. But to me, does it speak to me more than Dan to Dan?
That's where it wouldn't get a 10 potentially, would be my own personal feelings about it, because I can't say anything bad about the story and how the
No.
story is being presented. I can't say anything bad about the character development, because we talked about it before, how they're pushing the story forward, having it front and center, but still taking the time to give us small snippets of the other characters to develop them and get us to understand who they are. The animation hasn't faltered at all either. Like, in my mind, like, all those three pieces of criteria have been flawless in my mind. This genre isn't something I normally watch, but just by experiencing this anime, like, even though it's something I don't normally gravitate to, it's already going to get super high, higher than kaiju, definitely. And I would say kaiju is something that I would normally watch.
Yeah, kaiju is definitely high hopes that I had for the show, and season 2 is definitely not as good. I still enjoy kaiju. Like, I'm probably on the 7 range of kaiju when I think I gave season 1 an 8, but the summer Hikaru died is definitely in the 8 territory, at least for me. I think it's really hard because I don't absorb a lot of LGBT like anime in general. You want to learn more. And the way they drip feed the information really is a satisfying experience in the show.
And how they balance everything is really good, because, yeah, I mean, I would say you could attach the LGBTQ genre tag to this.
Mhm.
It's there, but it's so subtle that even if that's not something you're necessarily into, you could still watch this and appreciate the show for what it is. It's almost like some sort of like Michelin star dish. Every little piece is there with intent. It's there to amplify something else on the plate. And when you consume it as a whole, you get all of those pieces and they all melt in your mouth, mix in your mouth, if you will.
Oh, he said the mixing thing because they mix in the show.
All in all, it's just a really good experience. They don't have as much crazy comedy like Dan to Dan, but they still have it in here, like that little funny sequence of Yoshiki getting 8 hours of sleep, the exaggerated sequence of Yoshiki holding Tanaka's hamster.
Shit like that is, oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful stupidity. You know what I mean?
And it's added in like the correct way with the correct amount.
Yeah.
The majority of the show is mysterious and suspenseful, and they add just those little bits of almost light in the darkness, because this show is pretty dark.
Oh, yeah.
They don't overdo it. I think it's really good. And yeah, we get to see some crazy stuff happen, and
The wild episode.
they are really starting to unravel the story of what is going on in the mountain.
I'm really excited for the episodes where we just wrap this whole show up. I'm really excited to talk about Hikaru for 2 straight hours. This episode is the, oh Lord, I'm about to bust of episodes. At the very end of it, you're just like, what the fuck are we watching? And I'm so excited.
I don't want all my anime to be like this, because
No.
it is definitely like to bring it back to food, it's definitely like a rich dish. It is very good, but I don't think I could just eat something like this 4 times a week.
Dude, sometimes you
and
gotta have
be
McDonald's.
able to talk about it.
Sometimes a fucking shitty McDonald's cheeseburger is all you need in your life.
Fillet of fish.
No, Greg, we've discussed this. Nobody orders filet of fish at all.
Do you remember McDonald's breakfast where you get it in the styrofoam
Dude.
tray and there was like pancakes and eggs?
Yes, I fucking do. But I also like new McDonald's breakfast with the McGriddles. I have and will forever in my life fuck up a McGriddle. It's like they figured out how to distill cocaine in pancake burger form. Like, I don't understand it, but it's everything that I want in a sandwich, and it's breakfast.
I enjoy myself a McGriddle too. Just like I enjoy episode 9 of The Summer Hikaru Died. It starts with a flashback to the Indo family grave, and Yoshiki and Hikaru are there paying respects to Hikaru's dad. And Yoshiki is like, hey, Hikaru, everyone's going back to the car. But Hikaru doesn't seem like he wants to leave. Hikaru is like, hey, Yoshiki, you think I could eat some of these manju? And Yoshiki is like, fuck no, man. And then they chuckle as kids do and have a silly interaction.
This moment in this show is exactly the show quintessentially. It has a very serious moment, some serious shit's going on, and Hikaru's just like, hey man, you think I could eat all these cheeseburgers? And then just like, you're like, hey man, you're paying respects to your dad. Can you be serious for 2 seconds? And he's like, nah.
Yeah, I mean, those are offerings for the dead. So he's basically
right, exactly.
like, hey, you think I can steal food from the dead?
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly, it's like, yo, I'm going to take some of these roses home that you left for your dead person.
But it also shows like Hikaru's personality too.
Yeah, he can't take anything seriously.
His dad literally just died. And I guess that's his way of coping a little bit, is by making jokes.
That's literally how I cope with everything. It is dark humor all day, every day. I remember the day after when I had told one of my I forgot who, I think I told Anthony. I called him up and I was like, guess who joined the Dead Dads Club? And he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, hey man, this is how I fucking cope, dude. Like, this is what it is. So, and he's like, okay, I'm really sorry to hear that. And I'm like, no, I get it, man. Like, but, and he's like, you figure it out. But Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, I get it. And Hikaru, I fucking get it, dude. Sometimes you gotta laugh at how absurd life is.
But it cuts to Yoshiki and Hikaru at Rei's place, and Hikaru is on the couch sleeping, and Yoshiki and Rei are talking at the table with a bowl of the same manju that were at Hikaru's dad's grave. Rei is like, so that's the boy, huh? And Yoshiki apologizes, and she's like, nah, you good. I didn't expect him to look so normal. And then she silently eyes the mark on Yoshiki's arm. Yoshiki thanks her for saving them, and then asks what the thing at the restaurant was exactly. And Rei says it was a curse of some sort, feeding off a terribly old and powerful impurity, and then flashes a scene of the little shrine Tanaka broke. Rei says luckily she was able to drive it off, and Yoshiki asks what she means by impurity, and she says basically ghosts or spirits, and says that their world and the ghost's world are closer than you think, and separated by a flimsy barrier as she goes to grab a manju. She says when distortions appear, the barrier gets cracked and souls and emotions of the dead come pouring out, and all she can do is send them back from where they came and shut the tiny holes they crawl through. But she's no god, so she can't get rid of them for good. Yoshiki is like, God? And Rei says Hikaru probably attracts hella impurities, just like you, Yoshiki. And she says they're like lightning rods for spirits. She said when he was on the mountain, he collected impurities like a lightning rod, so the villages never had to deal with them. But now there's a bunch of impurities, and there's a bunch of incidents and bad things happening. Yoshiki is like, so the impurities are causing the issues, not Hikaru? And she's like, yeah. But this many impurities isn't normal. And then Hikaru jerks awake. And he's like, man, where am I? Hikaru joins them at the table. And Yoshiki is like, yo, chill, dog. And Hikaru is like, I'm not going to hurt her. More like, I can't hurt her. And she's like, here, have some food. And he has a manju and is like, holy shit, that's good. And it's double fisting him. And Yoshiki is like, dude, this isn't your house, man. Don't fucking eat all our manju.
Hey, real quick. He definitely, like, the social cues not there for Hikaru as well. But as we've learned that he's new into the world and not understanding, like, his first reaction is to be on the defensive at all points in time is not healthy. like be ready to kill something. He's like, well, I would have killed her, but I can't. I don't have the power to. And it's like, whoa, whoa, buddy. Hey, we didn't even need to go there. You were sleeping peacefully. Chill out, my dog.
Well, I mean, before that, they got attacked by that other spirit, so he was probably discombobulated because he got knocked out and then woke up in a strange room.
Yeah, you're right. Analytically, when you see Yoshiki and some lady just kind of sitting there, maybe your first reaction isn't guns out.
Ray doesn't seem to mind, and then she asks what Hikaru actually is. And he's like, well, I don't know. And she's like, a long time ago, her husband came back from the dead, just like Hikaru. It flashes back to young Ray with her daughter and son, Iori, and she calls him for dinner, but there's a spirit hand patting his head, and he's like, Mom, check this out. Dad made my Pokemon stronger. And she's like, well, that's sick, son. And then thinks that this can't go on forever, but maybe just a little longer. It cuts to another day, and Iori gets injured from the spirit hand dad, and then the hand recedes into the darkness and reveals a single eye that sheds a tear for hurting the boy. Back to the present, she said it was bound to happen, but Hikaru's case is totally different. And she said she knew her husband's soul was in there, but it was nothing more than an impurity. And Hikaru is like, I think I'm different than an impurity.
It's so fucked up, by the way. When
Are you going to allegory or?
No, there's not a big allegory here other than the loss of a loved one, and then you thinking that they're sticking around, just like hanging out, rearing your kid, like, hey, Mom, my dad gave me the Pokemans, like that. And then he probably like fucking ran into a wall and whatever. But the dad hurting the kid post-mortem and the kid laying there in a pool of blood was just like, oh, fuck, are we just not going to talk about that anymore? And she's like, yeah, it sucked. I thought it was a bad idea, but he was around for a little while longer. And you're like, maybe he shouldn't have been. Maybe you should have let him go. It's like really fucked up.
But whenever Ray was first introduced, I think maybe episode 2 or 3, you went pretty hard because she said, oh, my husband gave my son an injury that wouldn't heal. But now we kind of see what this injury was. And it wasn't what you were
that part.
allegorying. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Oh, man, okay, sometimes I will go off on a tangent and I will completely forget about why I made that tangent. I listened to that episode the other day, and I remember I was talking about that. I'm like, oh, yeah, the kid gets hurt. They talk about the injury. Now seeing it completely different from how I envisioned it originally, I completely glossed over the part where he potentially could have gotten sexually assaulted, and he's just like fucking chilling, totally fine, except for the obvious injury, like this giant ghost fist probably knocked him the fuck out. It could be an allegory to that, but I'm not going to try and stretch that. It's just, you shouldn't have ghost dad around. Like, fuck, guys, come on. Didn't we learn anything?
Yeah, I mean, she knew it was a bad idea. She said it, but she's oh, maybe just a little longer. Maybe a little longer. Oh, my son's dead. All right, well, too long, I guess. He's not dead, but you know what? He got hurt. Too long, I guess. Ray is like, yeah, you transcend the normal cycle. So you're like an enigma. And I have a note here that it says it shows the clock a few times. First, 5:09 when they're first there. 5:21 when Hikaru wakes up. Then it shows the flashback, and the clock shows 5:09 when Iori gets hurt. And then 5:31 after they talk about Hikaru. I don't know if those times mean anything, if they have any significance.
Did you cross-reference your times? You've wrote down a lot of times.
No, I didn't cross-reference my times. But the fact that they showed the clock 4 times, I'm like, well,
yeah,
maybe it has something to do with something. I'm not sure. But who knows? This might just be some sort of Sixth Sense thing where Ray is talking to Yoshiki and Hikaru, and like Yoshiki's actually dead too, and they're just two spirits like living together and hanging out. But Yoshiki asks if she knows about Nonuki-sama, but she's like, nope, no idea. Then they sit there in silence for a little bit, but then she says, if these impurities keep popping up, lots of people are going to die, and then ask them what they want to do. They both are just looking down, unsure, and Hikaru thinks he doesn't understand what a life is worth, and he could just run from all of this, but thinks Yoshiki would never do that, and it's important to him so that means it's important to me. Hikaru speaks up and says he finally found a place he belongs, so he wants to protect it. And Yoshiki looks up surprised, but then says he decided he's sticking with Hikaru no matter what and doesn't want to sit back and watch people die. Rei is like, sick, we'll come up with a plan together, and then thinks that they are good kids and enables her predator vision, and she can see the distortion of Hikaru.
Oh, damn it, Greg. She's like, all right, predator vision enabled. Beep, 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 and then holds both of their hands. She's like, sick. He's distorted.
And then the little triangle dots like go, and then she fires a rocket out of her like head cannon. But okay, it cuts to Tanaka, and he's at the little shrine, and the spirit with the bell is there. And it runs at Tanaka and blasts through him. And Tanaka gets
his
the
back
memories.
out, Greg.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. The spirit runs at Tanaka and blasts him with a back shot. And Tanaka gets the memories of what the spirit saw of Hikaru and Yoshiki in the diner before it got clapped. Tanaka doubles over and says it stings, but then is like, I see what's happening now. And his bell has now returned to being a normal bell.
So this is why I think his skin is distorted, because I imagine it's from his neck all the way down to the back of his legs. If he's getting spirits that are hitting him through the back, blowing his back out repeatedly, it's got to take a toll on the skin, right?
That makes sense. I said before in a previous episode that he had to trade his organs for barriers or whatever. Yeah. So I thought that the skin issue was him missing organs and his body's not able to filter or process stuff correctly, and that's why his skin's messed up.
That's also it, yeah.
I like your back shot, back blowout ghost theory as well.
Yeah, this is we've lost our fucking minds when it comes to this show. We really like this show, by the way. We just like to make things lighthearted at all times because the world is funny. This is our shitty dark humor. You're welcome.
But it cuts back to Yoshiki and Hikaru, and they're leaving Rei's house, and she says they can name drop her, and the people around her owe her some favors. Yoshiki leaves while Hikaru is putting on his shoes, and the door closes, and Rei tells Hikaru not to let Yoshiki get mixed any more than he is now.
Yeah, because when you mix stuff like gamer subs, you get delicious beverages in which you could use code DJ Montague for 10% off your order at checkout. Unlike the mixing of Hikaru and Yoshiki, where they could just not end up on this plane of existence and he won't be human anymore, you could just have delicious flavors like acid rain and probably boob sweat or something is one of the flavors, I'm assuming, and anime girl thighs.
That was a good segue.
Thanks. I don't think it was as good as the segues that you do, but I feel like it was well inserted for the moment.
I thought it was good.
Thanks, Greg.
That's staying in.
Thanks for that pity. I really appreciate it. the pity ad we get now.
And Rei says that Hikaru knows what will happen if the mixing continues. And Hikaru looks sad, but she says he'll never be able to return to the human world again. It cuts to Hikaru and Yoshiki at the store from episode 1, and Hikaru is asking about ice cream. And Yoshiki thinks that even though Hikaru is dead, time goes on in the village like nothing happened, and no one knows the truth. They leave, and Hikaru is like, I bought all the fucking manju in the store. And Yoshiki is like, Hikaru, go home without me. And he gives him a head pat, and he says he has somewhere he needs to go.
So one of the things that I noticed in this episode is a lot of head pats going on, but they reference it when Hikaru's dad passes. He gives him a head pat and he's like fucking with him like, hey, you fucking rascal. Like, he doesn't normally do that to this Hikaru. He doesn't like jovially, like, he's finally really appreciating Hikaru now, the new Hikaru, and like being more open and kind with him since he tried to actually fucking murder him. So I think this is a really good point.
I think this shows Yoshiki's resolve and where he said he's going to stick with Hikaru no matter what. And in the next scene, we're going to see here that Yoshiki understands this isn't the real Hikaru, but at the same time, he understands what new Hikaru is, and he is willing to I guess, stick with him and help him figure out what is actually going on.
Yeah, 100%.
And yeah, the head pat thing, I think that's a Japanese thing. I don't think head
It
pats are
is.
really popular in America. And I'm not sure why head pats are popular in Japan.
From my understanding, it's almost like childlike wonder and pet-like behavior is when head pats are used. I don't really understand it either, but it's definitely not an American thing. Don't touch people's heads in America. People will get really upset.
Yoshiki goes to a little shed where Crowley is buried. And then there's a little tombstone next to him that's for real Hikaru. And Yoshiki
Is that what it says?
No, the tombstone doesn't say anything, but the tombstone next to it does say Crowley.
Okay.
And Yoshiki puts a manju down for him and says no one will mourn him since other Hikaru is here, but he won't forget him. But fake Hikaru rolls up and is like, oh shit, it's been forever. We used to play here all the time. Oh man, look, here's our homemade Super Mario level. And they reminisce a little bit about being kids, even though fake Hikaru wasn't there when they were kids, but he has
Still got the
real
memories.
Hikaru's memories.
Well, he said it's our homemade Super Mario level. Mario, not Mario. Maru.
No, everyone knows what that is, though.
Those aren't Goombas. Those are Goombos.
Sounds like something Shizuku would make at camping.
Yeah, 100%.
Hikaru asks how he's different from real Hikaru, and Yoshiki says real Hikaru could read a room better than him, like an adult. He was a closed book and was crafty too, but unlike you, he's never coming back. Hikaru was like, did you like him? And Yoshiki is like, why do you ask? And Hikaru says, you were afraid to peek at my naked body before. So I thought that, maybe. Then Yoshiki says, I don't want to say, and then pulls Hikaru's collar down and is like, your body does nothing for me now. And then tells him he shouldn't worry about this emotional stuff. Hikaru says it's true he doesn't have emotions like that, and he's built different than humans. But Yoshiki says they got their own thing, and they don't need to follow any rules. And Hikaru shouldn't have to be human, and he likes that he isn't.
Wonderful moment. First of all,
it was nice.
This is just like classic DJ Montague wants to hyperanalyze a beautiful situation. While he gives him a little shitty comment of like, your body does fucking fuck all of me now. I don't give a shit. Zero dick movement. He was like, yeah, no, it's more accepted now. And I don't think we have to follow the rules, but I do like being in your marinated chicken. You know what I'm saying, dog? And then Hikaru was like, tee-hee, I like you in my marinated chicken. And then they had a moment. At least like they can talk about it, right? Like they're not just having this awkward dance around where like Hikaru brings it up. He's very abrasive when it comes to like understanding human emotions because he doesn't understand them. And he's like, yo, you got a little weird about my body before there were this body. You want to touch it some more or what's up? And he's like, yeah, I mean a little bit. And that's kind of what I got from this part of the episode.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Okay.
Yoshiki thinks that if Hikaru is going to stay here, he can't kill people. And maybe instead of forcing him to blend in, maybe we can find a place where he can be himself. So I'll give him everything that I've got. Cuts to Hikaru's place, and there is also a clock there, and it says 12:11. And Yoshiki is reviewing all the information that they have. Nonuki grants wishes in exchange for something, but after a famine, it was deemed a cursed god and stopped coming down from the mountain. And Hikaru is like, Grandpa said something about a ritual on the mountain. And Hikaru said to keep Nonuki locked away. And Hikaru attracts impurities, but he isn't an impurity himself and might be a god. Hikaru says there's probably so many impurities because he left the mountain. So if he goes back to the mountain, ... But Yoshiki is like, well, you finally found a place to call home, so you can't just go back. And Rei is going to help them. Yoshiki says they need to trap the impurities on the mountain since they're the ones causing all the trouble. And you aren't going to hurt the villagers anymore, right? And Hikaru is like, yeah, I guess.
I guess not.
And Yoshiki says if they study up on Nonuki and the villages, we might learn what Hikaru is. And we gotta go visit old man Takeda, like Matsuda's daughter said. And it flashes the clock, and it is now 12:22.
I want to say the last line that Hikaru says, he's like, but if I'm a god, why do I have all this stress? Like, same, bro. Thanks.
Yeah, hard.
Bars right there, dog. Bars.
They roll to the Takedas and ring the doorbell, and Takeda's wife answers, and Yoshiki is like, oh, we got a school project thing, something like that. So can we interview old man Takeda? And she's like, oh, well, he's not feeling very well. What did you want to ask? And Yoshiki is like, But Hikaru steps in and is like, oh, it was Rei's idea. And she's like, oh shit, he was looking for her. Okay, wait a second. Flashes the clock again, and it's 2:41, and then shows a shot of Tanaka's sword, and then Hikaru and Yoshiki outside of old man Takeda's room. And he's like, fucking ring up Rei right now and bring her here. And Yoshiki is like, oh, damn, well, why do you want to find her? And he said he was trying to track down a real spirit medium, and he's next on the chopping block. And he's clutching a talisman. And then he talks about the impurities and starts speaking gibberish. And Hikaru is like, oh, Nonuki-sama? And old man Takeda mean mugs him and is like, this is all the Indo's fault. He says way back, it was all because of the Indo's blasphemous act. And it's flashing a bunch of scenes. And he says what they did ended up killing all those people. And that's why the men of the Indo family have to climb the mountain to apologize generation after generation to return what they ... You know what I'm fucking talking about, Indo Hikaru chump.
I have to take a moment to make the most ridiculous assumption that this show better fucking come true on. So, as I've said before, that I think the mountain is an allegory to gay thoughts and being gay in general. And so, like, the village itself, they're like, oh, because this dude's gay, we got cursed with famine. It's just like, I want the spirit on the mountain to be like RuPaul and turn to the camera and be like, that had nothing to do with your famine. And then it shows everybody freaking out like, yo, it's the fucking mountain god's fault. Nobody's like tilling the fields and it's just like verdant fields and everything's fine. But these fucking people are just so stupid. They blame the mountain for their own problems. That's what I want. This is how I want the show to end.
Maybe not exactly like that, but I think that there might be something to that. Like if we take a page out of Dan to Dan, where they were talking about how fear makes people do human sacrifices and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
This may be similar to that, where this village is doing all of this weird stuff to appease this god, but the god doesn't necessarily even fucking care.
The god's fucking like chilling, hanging out. Like he's like, oh, what are humans doing? I want to hang out with them.
They're like, why do they keep just bringing me these dead bodies? I don't get it.
I'll shepherd them into the afterlife, I guess, but they're my new friends, you know what I mean? And they like get to hang out, and these people are like tortured souls being sacrificed. It's so insane. And then you get just the oblivious spirit. I love it. But that's what I really want. I want it to be RuPaul.
Yoshiki is like, you mean the famine? And old man Takeda is like, it wasn't just famine. It was a curse. And their disgraceful request brought out its wrath. And Hikaru is like, what did the Indos even do? And he's like, you don't fucking know? That's why the ritual failed. Then takes his warding salt and throws it at Hikaru. And is like, you didn't even ask what it was? And you never wondered why your name's Indo. Why don't you go take a look at your family's temple, bitch? Yoshiki is like, oh, hey, everyone, let's just try and calm down. This is getting pretty heated. And Hikaru says that it's already inside of him. And then the clock strikes 3, and old man Takeda starts to get spirit deformed and starts talking about what he saw when he went to the mountain, and then fully transforms into some weird spirit that then grabs the katana and marches menacingly towards Hikaru. Takeda is about to strike, But Tanaka rolls up and he's like, hey, yo, what's good, Hikaru? And then kicks Takeda across the room. And then he's like, sorry about this, Hikaru. I just got to check something real quick. Don't mind me. And then he takes the katana and slashes Hikaru's neck. And black spirit blood or something flies out. And then Hikaru's head falls off his shoulders and lands at the feet of Yoshiki. Tanaka said he had a feeling the old man's life was in danger, so he came running over, and then says he's glad his and Hikaru's paths have crossed. Yoshiki picks up Hikaru's severed head and is like, oh shit, he's dead, as Tanaka is just singing AKB 48, but then the blob starts to come out of Hikaru's severed neck. And that's how the episode ends.
This is like, you're watching a situation and the wrong party is getting beat up. It's like you showed up and you're like, hey, I'm here to break up a fight. I'm just trying to learn what happened. And then like the cops arrest that guy that broke up the fight. And then both parties on the other side are like, yeah, that guy fucking sucks. Fuck that guy. Like, that's Hikaru right now. He's just like, I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And I get my head fucking severed. What the fuck was that, dude?
Yoshiki is forever fucked in the brain.
Fucking scarred forever. He's just like sitting there like, oh my God, I'm holding my dead friend's head. Again, I've watched my friend get killed. Like, fuck, dude. And yeah, no, not a fucking great part to end on. Oh, good episode though. Really good episode.
This is episode 9, but I think they did a really good job building up to this. And I feel like these next 3 episodes towards the finale are going to continue that build up until we get to whatever the climax is going to be. And I think it's going to be really good. Like, if they continue this momentum that they have now and this upward trajectory of story, I'm going to find it hard to have any faults with this show.
Yeah, I agree, and I quite enjoy it.